music business. I don't know what that involves. In fact, I haven't seen the results yet, but I've been told this.
The haunting enigma surrounding rock legend Roy Orbison has finally been unraveled, and the truth is far from pretty. Decades after his soulful voice captivated the world, a chilling discovery has exposed dark secrets tied to his life and legacy. Fans are reeling, and the music world is buzzing with unease. But what shocking revelations have come to light, and why now? Join us as we reveal the truth that's rewriting Orbison's storied legacy. The dark truth behind Roy Orbison's mystery. For years, Roy Orbison stood out as one of rock music's biggest puzzles. His voice could soar and break hearts across high notes, like it were crying out in pain. He hid behind dark sunglasses, looking like a shadowy figure from another world. And his life? It was hit by one tragedy after another, tumbling down like a row of falling blocks. Fans whispered and wondered, was it the torture of being an artist, or some dark curse hanging over him? But now, hidden letters, fresh books about his life, and talks with those who knew him have pulled back the curtain. What they show is even scarier than the old stories, a raw truth that hits harder than any legend. At the heart of it all was pain from his early days that he never dealt with. Growing up during the tough times of the Great Depression, Roy faced hard knocks that left deep scars. Maybe it was being ignored as a kid, or hurt that his family never talked about. He turned that suffering into gold through his music, creating songs that touched millions. But inside, it ate away at him like rust on metal. His tunes didn't just echo sadness, they seemed to predict it like eerie warnings of storms yet to come. Imagine pouring your deepest hurts into lyrics, only to watch them come true. That's the chilling twist that makes you shiver. And that famous, otherworldly voice? It might have come from something grim. As a teenager, Roy had operations on his sinuses, risky procedures back then, done in a time when doctors pushed boundaries without much care for right or wrong. Those cuts could have damaged his vocal cords, twisting them into something powerful but painful. What followed were endless headaches that pounded like drums, and a habit of pulling away from the world.
To Alabama in '63 for a show, an outdoor show, and I left my clear pair of glasses on the airplane.
Fame brought him riches and cheers, but it was like a beautiful cup filled with poison. It lifted him up, only to drag him down deeper. Then came the heartbreaks that piled on. His wife, Claudette, died in a motorcycle accident, shattering his world. Later, a house fire stole 2 of his young sons, leaving ashes where joy once lived. From the outside, Roy seemed strong, like a rock standing tall. But his private journals tell a different story, one of crushing sadness, battles with drugs and booze, and thoughts of ending it all. He even toyed with walking away from music forever, or something far worse. Those signature black clothes? They weren't just a style choice. They were like a funeral outfit for the turmoil raging inside him. Picture a man smiling on stage while his soul screams in silence. That was Roy. Even his big comeback in the 1980s wasn't what it seemed. Joining the Traveling Wilburys looked like pure fun, a group of legends jamming together. But behind the laughs, he was worn out, barely holding on. His album, Mystery Girl, shone bright, but it covered up a body breaking down. When he suffered a heart attack in 1988 at just 52, the world gasped in shock. Yet those close to him had seen the signs, the slow unraveling of a man who burned too brightly, borrowing time from a fragile life. This new look at Roy pulls you in and leaves you uneasy. His music wasn't something he picked freely. It was how he stayed alive, turning screams into songs that went unanswered. There's no cozy fairy tale here, no heroic glow. Instead, it's a naked glimpse into a hurting spirit, reminding us that true talent often comes with a heavy price. The puzzle of Roy Orbison is cracked open now, but the dark edges still creep in, pulling you back for more questions, more chills, and endless fascination. But what kind of childhood did Roy Orbison have? How did he awaken his musical talent? Was he born into music? Let's find out. The rise of the enigmatic voice. Imagine a sun-scorched Texas town, its streets dusted with the gritty residue of the Great Depression, where hope flickered like a candle in the wind. In Vernon, Texas, on April 23, 1936, a boy named Roy Orbison entered the world, born into a family that scraped by on the meager wages of oil rig labor and unyielding determination. Life in this hardscrabble corner of the world was no easy ride. Money was tight, dreams often shelved, and the future felt like a distant mirage. Yet, in this rugged landscape, young Roy found a lifeline: music. At the tender age of 6, his parents placed a guitar in his small hands, sparking a flame that would grow into a blazing legacy. That simple instrument became his confidant, his escape, and his voice in a world that often felt too heavy for a child's shoulders. By 8, Roy's voice rang out over the airwaves of a local radio station, its youthful timbre carrying a surprising weight, a hint of the soul-stirring depth that would one day captivate millions. Shy by nature, he was no ordinary kid. What fueled this quiet boy's fire? A vibrant tapestry of sounds that colored his world. The mournful wail of Hank Williams' country ballads drifted through the Texas nights, wrapping Roy in their lonesome embrace. Bing Crosby's smooth, honeyed croons offered a glimpse of pop's polished charm, while the raw, fervent energy of Southern gospel blues set his young heart ablaze.
I just look at my own career, and if it's doing well, I'm satisfied, you know?
These influences didn't just shape him, they wove themselves into the very fabric of his being, planting the seeds of a sound that would echo across generations. When the Orbison family moved to Wink, a dusty oil boom speck on the Texas map, Roy's passion for music took root deeper still. In the hallways of his high school, whispers followed him, not just for his reserved demeanor, but for the spark in his eyes when he played. He formed his first band, the Wink Westerners, a scrappy group that brought life to small-town dances and local gigs. Girls giggled over his quiet intensity, sensing something magnetic beneath his unassuming exterior. Boys nodded in respect, drawn to the raw, undeniable talent that poured from his guitar. On those stages, Roy wasn't just performing, he was experimenting, weaving rockabilly's upbeat pulse with the heartfelt stories he scribbled in notebooks. Each chord, each lyric was a step toward something bigger, a dream taking shape under the vast West Texas sky. Those starry nights in Wink were more than just a backdrop. They were the forge where a legend was shaped. Imagine young Roy strumming his guitar beneath a canopy of stars, his mind drifting to stages far beyond the horizon. These weren't just youthful daydreams. They were the foundation of a career that would redefine what it meant to bare one's soul in rock music. Yet, even as he chased his dreams, shadows lingered. The hardships of his childhood, poverty, uncertainty, and unspoken pains left scars he kept hidden, transforming his inner turmoil into the poetry of his songs. This early chapter of Roy's life, filled with promise and tinged with sorrow, set the stage for a journey as haunting as the falsetto that would later define him. A boy with a guitar, a heart full of dreams, and a soul already touched by storms, was poised to become a voice for the ages. Did he allow his humble background limit his dreams? Let's delve into the details of Roy's breakthrough hits as he appeared in the spotlight. Rising to stardom. In the late 1950s, Roy Orbison burst onto the music scene like a shooting star. He signed a deal with Sun Records in Memphis, the legendary spot that launched giants like Elvis Presley, Johnny Cash, and Jerry Lee Lewis into stardom. Back then, Sun was the heartbeat of rock and roll, a place where raw energy and wild dreams collided. Roy tried his hand at rockabilly tunes, those fast-paced, twangy songs full of attitude, but his early singles barely made a ripple. They were like quiet whispers lost in a roaring crowd, overshadowed by the bigger names stealing the show. But destiny had bigger plans. By the early 1960s, Roy switched to Monument Records, teaming up with producer Fred Foster. This partnership was pure magic. Fred saw something special in Roy and helped him weave a unique sound. At the center of it all was Roy's incredible voice, spanning 3 full octaves. He could croon softly, sharing intimate secrets, or belt out notes that soared like a wounded spirit, pulling at your heartstrings. Everything changed in 1960 with Only the Lonely. This slow, soul-stirring ballad climbed the charts and touched millions. It wasn't just a song, it was a breakthrough, opening the floodgates for more emotional gems. Think of Crying, where his voice made you feel like rain was pouring from the radio, or Running Scared, which built suspense like a gripping suspense story, layer by layer, until it exploded in triumph. In Dreams took listeners on a dreamy, otherworldly ride, so haunting it later popped up in movies like Blue Velvet, adding to its eerie charm. And It's Over delivered a final heartbreaking goodbye that left fans reeling. Then came 1964's Oh Pretty Woman, a bold, flirty tune mixing confidence with a touch of sadness. Its famous guitar riff had everyone pretending to strum along, turning it into a global sensation. What hooked people so deeply? Roy's words plunged into the dark corners of heartbreak and loneliness. While other rock songs celebrated wild parties and rebellion, his tracks mirrored real pain, the kind everyone feels but rarely admits. His concerts became shared healing moments, where crowds connected over their hidden hurts, singing along as if unburdening their souls. Roy's look was just as captivating. Picture him, sleek black hair, head-to-toe black clothes. It started as a laundry accident but became his signature shield, and those mysterious dark sunglasses. They weren't for show at first. Childhood polio left his eyes sensitive to light. But over time,
Pair of pants. Then the next song would be about a pair of socks. And the next tune,
they hid his emotions, making him seem like an enigma on stage. He stood still, almost statue-like, letting his voice do all the drama. Fans called him the Caruso of rock, comparing him to the great opera singer, or simply the Big O, a nod to his larger-than-life presence. He was like a ghost in the spotlight, drawing you in with quiet power. Whispers added even more mystery. Was his amazing vocal range a gift from nature or something more? Stories floated about his teen years when sinus problems led to daring surgeries. In those days, medical rules were loose, and some say experimental fixes changed his vocal cords forever. It gave the world those stunning highs and lows, but at what cost? Chronic headaches and pain shadowed him, turning his talent into a bittersweet secret. Roy's rise wasn't ordinary fame. It was like turning inner darkness into shining gold. His songs still linger, whispering timeless tales of love and loss, inviting us to wonder, what hidden struggles fuel true genius? During his rise to stardom, did Roy experience any sort of challenges? Let's dive into the details of how Roy navigated the ebb and flow of fame. Trials and triumphs. The 1970s swept in like a chilly wind, shaking the music world with the glitz of disco and the roar of arena rock. These bold new sounds pushed Roy's soulful, heartfelt tunes to the sidelines. The charts turned cold, and the crowds at his shows dwindled, favoring flashing dance floors and electric guitar riffs over his tender melodies. But Roy was no quitter. Picture him in small, smoky clubs, his voice a warm beacon in the dim light, singing with the same passion that first won hearts. While the world twirled under disco balls, Roy poured his soul into every note, refusing to let passing trends dim his fire. His loyal fans, though fewer, clung to each new album, cherishing the raw emotion in his voice. This tough stretch tested him deeply. Whispers of being out of touch stung, forcing Roy to look inward. Yet through the doubt, his love for music held firm. Then, the 1980s arrived, sparking a remarkable comeback, like a phoenix rising from ashes. A fresh wave of musicians, stars like U2 and Bruce Springsteen, saw Roy as a guiding light, their praise rekindling his spark. In 1987, the music world crowned him twice, inducting him into both the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and the Songwriters Hall of Fame. At the ceremony, Springsteen gave a heartfelt speech, calling the Roy's voice a cry of heartbreak that could pierce any soul. The room, moved to tears, felt the weight of Roy's enduring magic. Back in the studio, Roy teamed up with Emmylou Harris for That Lovin' You Feelin' Again, a lush, harmony-filled duet that wove their voices into a tapestry of longing and warmth. The song's rich layers won a Grammy in 1981 for Best Country Performance by a Duo or Group, proving Roy's gift for crossing musical borders and touching hearts across genres. The true peak came in 1988 when Roy joined the Traveling Wilburys, a supergroup born from a happy accident. Picture this: Roy, alongside legends Tom Petty, Bob Dylan, George Harrison, and Jeff Lynne, gathered for a casual recording session at Harrison's home. What started as a simple B-side track exploded into something extraordinary. As Lefty Wilbury, a playful nod to his idol Lefty Frizzell, Roy brought a soulful glow to songs like Handle with Care. The group's debut album was a masterpiece, blending sharp wit, heartfelt wisdom, and irresistible melodies. It soared up the charts, reminding the world of Roy's brilliance. But beneath the laughter and applause, shadows lingered. Exhaustion crept in, and untreated heart troubles weighed heavy. The grief of personal losses cast a quiet ache over his triumphs, making this vibrant chapter a poignant, bittersweet farewell.
He said if I'd lower my voice and change my name, I might make it. Oh, no.
Roy's journey through the valleys of fading fame and the peaks of dazzling revival paints a vivid portrait of an artist who never gave up. His story is a testament to the power of resilience, showing how a true creative spirit can shine even in the face of fleeting trends and personal storms. Roy's music, timeless and soul-stirring, continues to captivate, inviting us to listen closely and feel the heartbeat of a legend. Roy's career later got affected by serious personal struggles. So, what exactly transpired? How did he get affected? Let's dig into the details. Heartbreak in Harmony. Roy Orbison's life story packs as much punch as his powerful songs, weaving a wild ride of soaring love, heartbreaking loss, and unbreakable spirit. Picture this: a young rock and roll star whose real-world adventures could fill albums of their own, full of passion, pain, and comebacks that keep you hooked. Back in 1957, at just 21 years old, Roy tied the knot with 16-year-old Claudette Frady, a stunning girl who lit up his world like one of his chart-topping hits. Their romance was a whirlwind, sparking like fireworks and pouring straight into his music. Claudette became his ultimate inspiration, the spark behind the upbeat tune, Claudette, a lively love letter that captured her energy and their electric connection. Even as Roy's career pulled him into a storm of tours and fame, they carved out a cozy family life. They welcomed 3 boys: Roy Duane in 1958, Anthony King in 1962, and Wesley in 1965. Being a dad was Roy's greatest joy. He'd sneak in guitar lessons between gigs, sharing laughs over backyard picnics and simple moments that felt like pure gold.
Then I talked to Martin Sheen, and he got busy and I got busy.
But life wasn't all smooth. Rough patches led to separations, echoing the stormy feelings in his emotional ballads, where love teetered on the edge of heartbreak. Then, tragedy hit like a thunderbolt in 1966. Just months after patching things up, Claudette lost her life in a motorcycle accident in Gallatin, Tennessee. Roy was riding ahead when he glanced back and saw the nightmare unfold. His heart shattered in an instant. The grief swallowed him whole, twisting that once happy song, Claudette, into a sorrowful echo of what was lost. He pushed through, but fate wasn't done yet. 2 years later, while Roy was on tour in England, a raging fire destroyed his home in Hendersonville. In the blaze, he lost Duane and Anthony, his precious young sons. Wesley escaped harm, staying safe with his grandparents, but Roy's world crumbled again. Can you imagine the gut-wrenching phone call in the dead of night? A singer who belted out tales of woe now lived them, his voice cracking under the weight. He withdrew into shadows, fighting inner battles alone, with only his music as a thin lifeline holding him together. But hope flickered back to life through Barbara Jacobs, a smart and savvy German music executive he met during his UK travels. They married in 1969, and she became his rock, bringing calm to the chaos and helping steer his career with unshakable loyalty. Together, they started fresh, welcoming sons Roy Jr. in 1970 and Alex in 1975, bright spots that chased away the darkness. These boys grew up to honor their dad's legacy, keeping his music alive. Barbara stayed by Roy's side until his death in 1988, then took charge, releasing unheard tracks and protecting his story like a guardian. She turned his pain into something eternal, showing how love could rebuild even the most broken heart. This tale grabs you with its raw, human edge, the delicate dance of love, the brutal sting of loss, and the quiet strength to rise again. Yet, peeking into Roy's private journals uncovers even deeper shadows, struggles with pills that numb the hurt, and whispers of despair that nearly pulled him under.
It's gonna be your first one?
Yes,
Are you excited about it?
Oh yeah, I've been wanting to be in film since I was a wee boy.
It's like his family's saga was a living reflection of his haunting melodies, where every high note hit a low, every triumph masked a tear. Roy's journey reminds us that behind the spotlight, stars are just people, facing storms that make their art all the more mesmerizing. What a life, tragic, tender, and timeless. But could all these have contributed to his death? Was he struggling with an ailment? Let's take a close look at Roy Orbison's death and the situation surrounding his demise. The final days of Roy Orbison. On a chilly December evening in 1988, Roy Orbison took the stage at the Front Row Theater in Highland Heights, Ohio. His voice, a haunting blend of velvet and grit, captivated the crowd as it always did. The performance on December 4th was electrifying, but it left him drained. Exhausted from pouring his soul into every note, Roy returned to his home in Hendersonville, Tennessee, craving a few days of rest. Yet, the demands of his soaring career allowed little pause. He was set to jet off to London soon after to shoot 2 new music videos with his supergroup, the Traveling Wilburys, alongside legends like George Harrison and Bob Dylan. His calendar was brimming with plans for a major tour across the US and Europe in 1989, a testament to his enduring stardom. On December 6th, Roy spent a quiet day indulging in a favorite hobby, buying parts for model airplanes. He was joined by his close friend and bus driver, Benny Birchfield, whose warm company offered a welcome break from the whirlwind of fame. Benny, married to country music star Gene Shepard, invited Roy to their Hendersonville home for a hearty supper. Laughter and stories filled the air as they shared the meal, a simple moment of connection in Roy's fast-paced life. After dinner, Roy drove to his mother's house to visit his son, Wesley. Their conversation was light and heartfelt, a father and son stealing a precious moment together. But then, the evening took a sudden, tragic turn. Roy excused himself to use the bathroom, promising to return shortly. 30 minutes passed, and unease settled over the house. When he didn't reappear, concern turned to panic. They found him collapsed on the bathroom floor, his larger-than-life presence suddenly frail. An ambulance rushed him to the hospital, sirens cutting through the Tennessee night, but it was too late. Roy Orbison, the voice behind timeless hits like "Oh Pretty Woman," suffered a massive heart attack. At just 52 years old, the music world lost one of its most soulful icons on that fateful December night in 1988. The days that followed were filled with grief and tributes. On December 11th, Gene Shepard, a steadfast friend, organized a public memorial at College Heights Baptist Church in Gallatin, Tennessee. Friends, family, and devoted fans gathered to honor Roy's life, sharing stories of his kindness, his shy smile, and the voice that could break hearts with a single note.
Use words like legend or, inspiration, things like that.
2 days later in Los Angeles, Roy's widow, Barbara Orbison, hosted a celebration of life at the Grand Wiltern Theater. The event drew a constellation of celebrities, musicians, and admirers, all united in their love for the man whose music had touched their lives. The air was thick with emotion as they remembered his genius and mourned his untimely departure. Roy was laid to rest at Westwood Village Memorial Park Cemetery in Los Angeles, his grave unmarked, as if his legacy needed no stone to endure. His songs, his voice, and the quiet intensity of his spirit would live on, echoing through time. Though his life ended too soon, Roy Orbison's music remains a beacon, stirring the hearts of listeners who still find solace and wonder in his melodies. Surprisingly, the world noticed the return of Roy Orbison, as his voice kept echoing long after his death. Did Roy come back from the grave, or was it his legacy that kept echoing his voice? Let's find out. A legendary comeback. As the 1980s drew to a close, Roy Orbison's star blazed back to life, a dazzling revival woven with threads of nostalgia and a bold new spark. His voice, that soul-stirring blend of velvet and grit, captured hearts anew. The Traveling Wilburys, a supergroup of rock legends, showcased Roy's magic alongside icons like Bob Dylan and George Harrison, their camaraderie crackling with wit and warmth. But it was his final album, Mystery Girl, released after his passing in 1988, that crowned this comeback. Unfinished yet breathtaking, it soared to the top of the charts, a testament to Roy's enduring genius. In 2014, a deluxe edition unveiled a hidden gem, The Way Is Love, a lost demo lovingly polished by his sons, Wesley, Roy Jr., and Alex, alongside John Carter Cash and Jeff Lynne. Roy's archived vocals, woven into this tender track, felt like a conversation across time.
Flying to Alabama to do a show, and I'd hired this private aircraft.
A father-son bond that sent shivers down listeners' spines, as if Roy himself were singing from the stars. His collaborations added layers of allure. Singing with Emmylou Harris felt like sharing secrets by moonlight, their voices intertwining in haunting harmony. In the Wilburys' studio sessions, Roy's voice anchored the group's playful banter, grounding their star-studded energy with raw emotion. His influence echoed in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, where Dylan hailed him as a poet and Springsteen called him the heart of rock's soul. Yet, beneath the spotlight, Roy carried unseen burdens. Smiles hid exhaustion. Heart troubles lingered, ignored amid relentless tours. He knew time was slipping away, yet his music roared defiantly, ablaze against the gathering dusk. This chapter of Roy's life captivates with its soaring highs, but it whispers deeper questions. Did this triumphant return heal old wounds or pile on new strains? His songs, brimming with longing and loss, hinted at the pain behind the glory. After his death, Roy's legacy only grew. His music wove into films, inspired covers by modern stars, and proved that true art never fades. His son's devotion keeps his spirit alive, unearthing unreleased tracks that spark curiosity. What drove Roy to pour so much into that final burst of creativity? How much of his heart's ache fueled those timeless melodies? Roy's story invites us to marvel at his resilience and wrestle with its cost. Each note he sang, each lyric he penned, feels like a piece of a larger puzzle, a mystery that lingers, urging fans to listen closer, to feel the weight of a voice that still echoes, undimmed by time. So, what do you think? Could anything have been more heartbreaking to Roy Orbison than his experience? We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.